The Whole Foodie Festival is on at Whole Foods Market through October 3rd. Save on hundreds of culinary favorites like delectable cheeses, crackers, charcuterie, olives, and chocolates for that perfectly elevated snack board. Class up the party even more with short ribs, caviar, and produce on sale. And save on a huge selection of wine, including those made with organically grown grapes, starting at $6.99. Check out the Whole Foodie Festival today. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Today on CityCast Philly, SEPTA's bus revolution is on its way. This is the first time in 60 years that the transit agency is overhauling its bus routes. And the final plan, which took 6 years to make, is almost ready to be voted on by SEPTA's board members. So what does this mean for your morning commute or your ride home? It's Thursday, September 28th. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Tom Fitzgerald, transportation reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Tom, SEPTA is going to introduce a bunch of new bus routes. This is known as the bus revolution. Why is the transit agency doing this now?
Well, as you said, it's been 60 years. People's needs for what they want out of bus schedules and times and when service is available has changed dramatically. And in 60 years, developments popped up in other parts of the city that were
true.
Basically, if not empty, but say parts of the Northeast, there's so much construction, everyone knows all over the city. What was Fishtown in 1964?
Right.
Now it's a huge population center.
Right.
So they said, we got to do something. And they were losing riders.
I was just going to mention that, over the years, SEPTA has seen so many changes, right? And we've talked about this on the show before in the past few months, even pandemic shed, 20% of riders?
Yeah.
Now, what did SEPTA actually look at when they made this plan?
Okay, so there's a lot of factors. They looked at tons of data so they can tell where people are getting on, what the on-time performances are, the various routes, and what, where do people want to go? Where do they go most? Then they supplemented that with a bunch of public engagement and polling and research to see what people wanted that wasn't available now. And then they put it in a big mixing pot and came up with this.
So how will this impact commuters, right? Especially during peak times when they have to go to work. And then we also have kids who use SEPTA to get to school.
They say on paper it all will work, but of course, buses don't run on paper. But what they've done is they say they've increased the number of frequent service that operate at least every 15 minutes on weekdays. They've increased the number of routes that have that by 30%.
Tom, can you explain to me what is the term frequent routes? What does that mean?
Sure. It's the number of minutes that they'll be scheduled within 15 minutes or less of each other. So theoretically, you would only have to wait 15 minutes for the next bus at the most. And some of them are designed to even be every 10 minutes between. And there are 33 routes now that are 15 minutes or less. And SEPTA's maps show they will have 43 under this plan if it's the one that goes through. So it's an increase of more of these routes that are with more buses on them. And they say an additional 1.1 million people would be within a 10-minute walk of one of these frequent routes.
Tom, I also read that some of the bus routes will actually be shorter, so they'll be more direct.
Yes, that was one of the biggest changes they've made is shortening routes or eliminating something in the middle where over time the buses would go around, deviate from the path and go around. So they've cut out some of that. to make them more direct. That was one of their big objectives. And there's going to be a Philly International Airport route that's direct. Surprisingly,
that's huge.
It's huge. But surprisingly, there hadn't been one that it was part of Route 37, which it would go down into the city of Chester in Delco and come back up to like South Philly, Center City. But this is going to be shortened to just the airport. And then there'll be a Route 37A that will add on the Chester part of it into southern Delco. So there'll be more buses going more often down to the airport. And it would basically kind of express between Broad and Snyder to PHL. Sounds like it'd be really good. They're pretty excited about it. It'd be really good for workers at the airport.
For sure. And the plan also wants to get rid of some bus routes. Which ones are going away?
Yeah, this plan has 106 bus routes, and that would be down from the current 125. And the first crack they took at it, they went down to 99. So through the people reacting, there's been like some restorations and shuffling. One of the routes that's going away that has received a lot of attention and criticism from SEPTA writers is the 32 is going to go away. Now that stretches from like Roxborough all the way down to Suburban Station, but there are a lot of people who are concerned in Strawberry Mansion. People in the neighborhood say it's really important to them because it connects to different areas of the city, and like Strawberry Mansion is it's North Philly, but it's central, and it's like kind of cut off. And this 32, people say they think SEPTA has made a mistake getting rid of that, at least as it helped Strawberry Mansion.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Go to Blinds.com for up to 45% off. Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
The Whole Foodie Festival is on at Whole Foods Market through October 3rd. Save on hundreds of culinary favorites like delectable cheeses, crackers, charcuterie, olives, and chocolates for that perfectly elevated snack board. Class up the party even more with short ribs, caviar, and produce on sale. And save on a huge selection of wine, including those made with organically grown grapes, starting at $6.99. Check out the Whole Foodie Festival today. Terms apply. Must be 21 plus. Please drink responsibly.
So, Tom, let's talk about a really cool tool that your team created at the Inquirer. How can a person use this tool to find out more about their commute?
Yes, Sam Morris. All praise to Sam Morris, the designer of this. Just to answer the question, people can enter an address, where they live or where their work is or whatever they want. Here's my friend's address. What if I'm over there? And it will show what routes go near where you are currently and where the stops are. It'll have little dots. And then also it will compare it with the proposed one. So people can say, oh, well, okay, I won't have my usual one, but I'll have 2 more that will, I can use.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or they can say, yeah, I'm going to have less.
Right. I tried it and I plugged in my home address and I have 5 different bus routes within a half a mile of my address, which is pretty cool. And if I keep scrolling, it then tells me that I have 51 different bus stops choices. So this is really neat. I like this.
Yeah. 51. That's pretty amazing.
I know. I think I'm in a good spot.
I think you should really, you've picked like a great place to live because you could get anywhere pretty much.
Right. Tom, I remember speaking with you about how SEPTA had asked for a lot of public input and had several community meetings. Did they listen to what riders want?
Well, it depends on where you sit. I mean, some people will not, they'll feel they weren't listened to. It seems they did because they wanted to eliminate down to 99 routes or crunch them down and put them in another route. And then after hearing from people, they bumped that up to 106. So that indicates there was some adjustment made. Some adjustments were made in response to what people said. But of course, people have attachments to their own particular neighborhood routes or favorite routes. Yeah. And so they're not going to feel good on hearing that, there have been changes in the response because there was no response to them. The other factor is there are people that said throughout that public wasn't really aware that this was all going on. It's a huge change, a huge deal. And that, that some of the advertisement of it and outreach, people were ignorant of the process. And now it seems awareness is there, but is it too late to really make much of a change? It's hard to tell. Mm-hmm. I mean, because people are all over the place in the meetings that are happening. So, you could say that there are still strong pockets of criticism about certain decisions like that 32 we mentioned. Mm-hmm. And then there are people that are either saying good things or are quiet, which could be interpreted as they find it acceptable.
I also want to talk about SEPTA bus drivers, right? And we've talked about it again, like over the past couple of months, especially the summer when there was a string of accidents involving buses and violence that sometimes happens on SEPTA. Has this bus revolution considered the drivers and some of the difficulties and challenges that they have to experience too?
Yes, it's talked about that, and they've acknowledged that, first off, they need more drivers, and that's one.
So there's understaffing issues.
It's definitely understaffing issues. Those are big, and those are happening at a lot of transit agencies. So to make this work, to make it truly work, you've got to have a staff that's much bigger, more available people to take the buses and not keep forcing mandatory overtime on the people you have. That will increase reliability too. But some of these problems are deep. There has been violence against a lot of operators, and it's a hard job. Mm-hmm. It doesn't start out paying, super money here, but it can get up there after 5 or 6 years if you last that long, because the job is so hard.
Right.
So that's a huge issue, and they know that for it to work, they got to do better, getting more drivers and relieving the ones they have, and making them feel safer and better about their jobs.
Now, when do we expect that the plan will be official?
It's always hard to declare that because government's wait, we got to make a change. But they say that this is the final one. So there's public hearings going on, and they end at the end of this week. The hearing officer could recommend that SEPTA makes a few changes, but SEPTA says they wouldn't be very drastic probably at this stage. And then it would be voted on by the end of the year, probably in December. And then they're kind of open-ended about when it would start being implemented, but sometime next year early, and then it would phase in.
Tom, overall, will this bus revolution make a difference for how Philadelphians ride SEPTA? Will it be better for riders?
Yeah, it should. Just because it's going to have a little bit more responsiveness to where people want to go now versus the system that evolved was sort of started from a place where did people want to go in 1964? And then like occasional changes, but never any like overall look at what do we really need? So it should be better. Like if you want to look at the broad spectrum, you know, and then the more at 30,000 foot view or whatever you want to call it, I think it should.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it. Tom Fitzgerald, transportation reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Thank you so much for breaking this down with me on CityCast Philly.
Oh, happy to do it, Trenae. It's always fun to come on.
We'll have a link to the final bus revolution plan, Tom's reporting, and where you can give final feedback on the changes in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode about SEPTA's bus revolution, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter, Hey Philly, to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the Friday News Roundup. Bye.